Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Sisters Back.
How do you define a friendship? Like what should be what's your definition of defining someone as your friend?
Okay, I want to laugh because I used to use the word loosely, to be honest. Like the word friendship to me was okay, we met, we got along, we're friends, right? And I would treat that person the same way I would treat anyone else that's my friend, even though I had really, really close relationships with other people. But like you're saying, have had I've been fortunate in friendships, right? With you, I consider you like a really close friend, and I feel the same way about you. That where it's like you've been there for me, and I feel like we support each other. We come from a place of no judgment, right? Which is huge. Um, so I've been fortunate with a few people uh, who've actually considered me a friend the same way I considered them a friend. And then also I've been unfortunate with certain people that I've considered friends that did not consider me a friend in return. So they ended up taking advantage of my friendship or um, using whatever they could within my friendship type of thing to their advantage. And at the end of the day, I ended up being left wondering and left brokenhearted because actually friends can break your heart as well, not just
Yeah.
lovers, right? So I got brokenhearted and whatever. So now, and then so we had a talk and Carnation was like, well, you use the word friendships loosely type of thing or whatever. I'm like, well, we're friends now with so and so. She's now my friend because, this and that, whatever happened. She's like, well, technically that's not friendship. So anyway, I had to kind of go back and think about it and look back at all the friendships that I had and categorize them. And I think that was the problem. I wasn't putting people in categories. To me, friendship was kind of like a whatever, though they were core people that I knew they were my people type of thing, but everybody was more. So to go back and to answer your question, what is a friend? I think a friend is somebody that, you know, that you find belonging with, like that you find acceptance and belonging, right? Somebody that you can be yourself around as well as you feel seen. So basically you want to be in a friendship where you are seen, you are fulfilled in that type of in that friendship where it goes both ways. You can talk to this person or you can be vulnerable around this person. You can be vulnerable, you can, there's consistency in terms of, the time spent, you can trust this person because this person is consistent in who they are to you and in their behavior, in their, in everything that they do. And you're also like consistent to them. I think that's how I would define friendship. There's probably a few things I missed, but yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, and I think for us as well, if you haven't figured out what your non-negotiables are, we end up in situations that we're trying to come out of those situations because we haven't decided ahead of time what things we'll be able to tolerate and what things we won't be,
And
right?
you haven't figured out what you will do when
What
things
you will
happen.
do, right? And
Yeah.
so when it comes to non-negotiables, friendships, sometimes people say, oh, you know what, friendships, you can be kind of relaxed about that or what have you. But toxic relationships can actually really destroy you and they can, and they can really change the course of your life, right? And
Yep.
so
Yep.
it's the same thing with relationships, sometimes That's why it's important not to go shopping when you're hungry, right? And also knowing your non-negotiables ahead of time, because you end up in a relationship, it feels comfortable. And maybe that person is just meeting one dimension of taking away your loneliness, but they don't even align in terms of, your value system or your non-negotiables, right? So, but if you know those ahead of time, then you're able to extract yourself out of certain situations when those non-negotiables are violated, right?
I always look at, in terms of like planning for the future, I always look at what do I want at the end of the day? How do I want my retirement to look? Do I want it to be luxurious? Do I want it to be, to just be able to pay for my for all my bills? Because one thing I've realized is that after you retire, let's say what's the retirement age? 60, 67 at the most, right? 67. So let's say you retire at 67, maybe you live up to 90 or 97 or wherever. That's like 30 years of not working, of being retired. So in those 30 years, you have to really think about, okay, do I have enough money, or will I have enough money to last for those 30 years that I won't be working? And how much money do I need to be able to last me for 30 years? And you also not just gonna be there just using, the maybe things can come up too, in terms of, you might have emergencies, you might have things that come up. Kids are gonna want to go to the bank of mom and dad for help, right? And you are retired, so you need to figure out, okay, what does that look like, and am I going to be able to to pay for all of this, and how much does it require me to have to be able to retire comfortably? So then, wherever you are, whether you're starting early in life to start planning for your retirement, or you're starting late, then you got to look at, okay, so in order for me to be able to retire in the way that I want to retire, it's going to take, I don't know, $2 million or 500K, depending on where you are. Then you start planning for that. What do I need to do to actually be able to have this amount of money by the time I get to retire? And also figure out how to also invest it so that it can grow as well. Live off of the interest, or, stuff like that. So that's what I would advise. Look at where you want to end up, and then start planning from here to go, okay, in order for me to get there, I need to start planting these seeds so that by the time I get there, they're going to be, they're going to germinate, and then it's going to be fruit that I can actually sow, reap where I've sown, type of thing. What do you have to say, Lana?
I agree with that. I think looking at where you are now, what do you have now? What are your liabilities now? And how far away are you from the magic retirement number?
Mm-hmm.
Because we see quite often people hit that retirement age and they don't have enough money to retire, and
They
the
can't afford it.
the CPP doesn't pay enough. The OAS isn't enough of a supplement. So where are you today? How far are you away from that? What is your goal retirement age? And what do you need to do to get there? And I think once you kind of pinpoint that, you have a starting point. Okay, I need a side hustle for this much. So here's what I can do to make that much extra a month to put away.
Mm-hmm.
The average person, they say, to live off of a decent wage needs almost $1 million to retire. And years ago, $1 million seemed like a lot of money.
It still
And
is
nowadays,
a lot of money.
It is still a lot of money, but it's not like that wow factor now.
Inflation, yeah.
I think back to the days when I was making $6.45 an hour and I was capped out. And then I got a job for $9 an hour, and I hit the lottery. I was like, oh my God, I got $9 an hour. So I think really looking at where you are today and where you want to be in that retirement, and obviously planning for that, the unexpected. There should always be a plan for the unexpected, because you never know. Life happens. I experienced that this year, or last year even. My dad passed away suddenly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
In another province. So I had to go, you
Wow.
know, and it was unexpected. It was a huge expense for me. You know, and it's something that has to be done, but I didn't plan for it. Thank God I was able to do it, but at the end of the day, these life scenarios happen, and you always have to kind of, in the back of your mind, even though we don't think, oh, you know, we're going to get a call, but it was an eye-opening experience.
This is the same room, right? So we decided, she ended up buying a pool table with a blue that she loved. So we had to work around this pool table.
Oh, I see.
So instead of more of the oranges that we had on the previous slide, we ended up with going with more blues, right? So like I said, most of the stuff she already had, we just had to play around with it and get a few accessories. So we just changed the pillows. Some of them were old, like you see that floral orange one is something she had already. We just bought a blue one to match the pool table. The flooring was new. The books and all that stuff is things that she already had in her home, but wasn't set up in a way that was pleasing to the eye. So just, I mean, playing around with things that you have can really make such a big difference.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you what's the rule on making sure that there's not too much color? Because let's say if I wanted a blue theme like this, I find sometimes I end up, you know, adding too much. So
Yeah.
what's the rule of thumb when you're kind of doing this?
Well, in design, we call it the 60-30-10 rule, right? So what you do is you want your room to be 60% of a dominant color, right? So for example, in this room, we have a very light gray on the walls. So that's going to be our dominant color. And then you can have the 30% be maybe most of this furniture, like the sofa, the bigger things, right? And then the 10% accessories.
Okay.
Right? So if you do it that way, then everything looks proportional. It doesn't look too crazy, but you know, you still get the color that you want. So if you look at everything here, most of the big items are very solid, plain colors. We just played around with the throw pillows, the accessories, the books that you already had. You know, we kind of work with the colors as well. So as you can see, she has some built-in cabinets. So things that you don't want to see, you can just put in there, and then you just bring out some color that will go with everything else around the room. But I mean, our main accent color here was blue. So, and with that, you can work with different shades too. Doesn't have to be one. So if you feel like maybe that pool table is too bold for you, you can make your throw pillows a lighter blue. Right? Or your accents, like your lanterns, could be a lighter blue and things like that.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I noticed that lantern. That's a nice touch. So you said 60, 30, 10, right?
And 10, yeah. So 60 would be your walls, your floors, and all that stuff. So make that neutral. Make that neutral so that you can add on to it.
Okay.
Right, your side tables, they don't have to be green and purple and, you know, all that stuff. So just make those your neutral dominant colors.
Okay.
And then accent would be the blues that you see here, which is the 10%, right? The 30 would be your drapery, your cabinetry, your area rugs. If you have any large pillows, for example, you can make that part of the 30%. Then the smaller little items are what you have as your 10%.
as your 10%.
Okay.
It's just, if it's just effortlessly stylish, like, yeah, you don't have to do too much to it. To me, it's two things: my loungewear and my hair. If those two things are put together, I know some people will say my nails. I don't really do nails. I'm a nail biter, and when I get fake nails, they get dirty with all these poopy diapers. So I'm not a nails person. But if I get my hair right and my clothes, so like every time I wear my loungewear, I'm just like, yo, I'm on top of the world. So yeah, it's effortlessly stylish. So yeah, it's like, and then another point is perfect all day wear, which is something that I think is so important about the loungewear stuff, because some people will be like, why am I spending like so much money buying things that no one will see outside, which I think we've tackled. Like it's always important to dress well inside, right? But the loungewear, what we're starting to see is, if you get something that you're able to just walk outside in the sun in, like if you accessorize it, you're set for like a good, night out with your friends for drinks, or just having a self-care day. Imagine, like Sunday, I love this thing where I have some me time where I just run the tub, just running the tub. I just after I'm done soaking myself up, I wear my silky pajamas again, or silky loungewear, like that kind of self-care day. I really feel like I've done self-care if I then put on something really nice after. And then, yeah, you can wear it at any point during the day. I think that's what makes it so, like, loungewear so important and gives me that kind of boost in confidence. So,
and as I'm talking about this, I'm thinking about guys as well. We've all gone through this as women at some point, where you meet a guy and you're excited and he hasn't labeled you as his girlfriend, but you label yourself as his girlfriend. And then you have an expectation of something, it doesn't come through. And then he says to you, wait a minute, I never said we're official, right? So, I mean, with guys, they have a way of, I don't know, kind of scrutinizing you before they give you that title. I feel as women as well, because I don't know whether it's just me, Ropa, but I think friendships have the potential to really damage you if they're toxic, right? And so you should protect your boundaries really well and really sift through who you actually consider a friend.
You should. And I think I've said this before, you choose your friends the same way you choose your lovers, right? With care. And I like that you brought up the, how guys do it, but then, you know what? Guys do that too sometimes as a way of manipulating, right? So it depends on the kind of guy. He might say, wait a minute, we never talked about, us going official type of thing, but he's been taking liberties with you. He's been, getting stuff that a boyfriend would get, and he's been demanding stuff, you bastard. Anyway, so my whole thing is, if you are not sure that you guys are, exclusive or whatever you want in that relationship, if you're not sure about it, he should not be coming over to, to sleep over or trying to hug you and kiss you like a girlfriend or whatever, if he does not consider you as a girlfriend. Because first of all, he's blocking you from other guys, because people see you together and people think you are together. So he's blocked you from meeting somebody else while he's reaping the benefits of, girlfriend stuff when he's not. Anyway, I know I'm going on a tangent. We're not talking about that. But I just thought, since we mentioned it, don't assume what has not been, confirmed type of thing. So even in friendships, if somebody does not consider you as their friend, don't assume that, they're your friend type of thing. Because I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, it goes both ways, right? Both people need to acknowledge the friendship for it to actually be a proper friendship. Or am I wrong?
No, actually, I do agree. And, in what you said as well, I latched onto the word manipulation, and perhaps the way I do things, I wanted to clarify the way that I do things, that it's not when I meet someone and I feel like we have a potential connection, I take the time of getting to know them. I'm a real friend, right? And then I also measure their temperature. If they're not reciprocating, or if I feel like, you know what, this person is going to hurt me, or they're toxic, or they're competing with me, I don't change what I'm giving them in that time I'm getting to know them. But once I've made my assessment and I've written my report, so to speak, then they either
dial it back.
Yeah, they either become an acquaintance or, you know, someone you casually know, and they don't become part of my inner circle. Because we have to realize that not everyone comes into your life to become that root type of person. Someone come, you know, into your life as a leaf and maybe show me how to do my eyebrows. Universe, send me someone to show me how to do my eyebrows, right? So that person can come for that sole purpose. Or someone can come and help you maybe organize how you do stuff better, right? So people don't necessarily come into our life to become friends. Sometimes we have to kind of assess, well, where do they fit in my life? It reminds me of my nephew, he's 3. If he goes to the playground or he goes to someone's house and he finds someone his age that he plays with, or even when we take him like to a play center in the mall or what have you, he ends up, if he connects with someone, he says, oh, that's my best friend. That's my best friend. That's my best friend. But I remember his mom giving him some life lessons and saying, you know, Zaya, not everyone is your best friend, right? So I think even for adults, not everyone is your friend.
So someone said this to me and it really made me, it was like an epiphany type of thing. So they said everyone is going through life and everyone's trying to figure it out. Nobody really knows what's going on. Everybody's just trying to figure it out. So we're going through life. Some people look like they've got it figured out. They've got it put together. But every single person is going through life trying to figure it out. So when they told me this, I was like, I thought I was the only one who didn't know what's happening, what's going on. Everybody else looked like they had it figured out. They knew where they were going. They knew what life was supposed to be, what life was supposed to be like. And I realized that you make your own path. You know, work for the things that you want, and you make the things that your dreams a reality. You create your own dreams. And just realizing that, a lot of the limiting beliefs that I had fell away, because now, okay, I was born in a certain place. That means I belong to a certain place. All that kind of fell away. Now I can be whatever I want to be. I can do whatever I want to do because I'm not limited anymore. We're all trying to figure it out. A long time ago, we did not have, cars. We had, horse carriages. And before that, we had, people walking on foot. But somebody had to create that. That means we created our own reality up to a point whereby we're now in houses that have electricity and whatever. Whereas before, many years ago, people used to warm up their houses with firewood. And if you didn't prepare and, stock up the firewood, you would freeze halfway through the winter, right? So nobody has anything figured out. Once you know that, you can create your own path. You can create your own life. You can create your own dreams and create your own world. So I think to me that was like,
one of my sisters might hate me for using this, but I will anyway, because it made me chuckle when she mentioned it. She mentioned to me when she first got married, she and her husband ended up arguing about the bathroom theme because she wanted pink, right? And the husband was saying, heck no, right? That this is a shade of bathroom. So decorating, and maybe this might be a stereotype, but it's typically a woman's kind of task, and we love pink. So it's the way of incorporating pink, I guess, in your decor, whether it's your living room or your bedroom or your bathroom. and still keep peace in the home? Like, how do you still keep that color? I guess, and not cause conflict. That's what I'm wondering.
I think there's different shades of pink.
Yeah.
If you go with a baby pink, of course, the guy will not like it. But you can add blush. Blush is not as bold, right? You can add it as an accent color. You can have it in, let's say, you can use wallpaper with a little bit of blush, but also has other colors, maybe golds and blacks, which can be a little bit on the masculine side, right? So you kind of have to work around putting both styles together. So there's a little bit of compromise, of course, because you won't get that baby fun pink, but you can always use other shades of pink that will work for him as well.
Yeah, good to know.
Yeah.
Compromise is good.
Right?
Just for the record, not all ladies like pink. Just saying.
Oh, really, Ropa? Next
We
time.
don't all like pink.
Yeah, I love blues. I'm into blues and greens.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't have a favorite color, but I gravitate more towards like purples and maroons.
I know you like purple. Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know why. Like purples and maroons, they work for me.
You know, it's funny because I wouldn't say that's my favorite color, but I find myself buying those colors too. I don't know why.
It's a thing.
It just happens. And then when I look at my stuff, I notice that it kind of
There's a lot more purple.
creeps in a little bit every time, but I don't know.
I think we're in denial.
Yeah.
That's true. A lot of times we don't know that the habits we cultivate show up in our lives, and people read that to mean something. Like, let's say you are not thinking about your scuffed up shoes and you walk outside. Somebody's going to look at that and they're going to automatically attach carelessness and lack of, self-control, self-love, or whatever, because they see certain things. And I've noticed that in terms of the way that I speak sometimes. I'm very careless with the way that I speak, because I'm like, talking about things, and I have a lot of fillers that I put in my speech. Things like that, certain things, and you don't notice that it's a bad habit because it's something that you do all the time and it's subconscious. And that's the thing with habits, whether they're good habits or bad habits. They most of them are subconscious, where you don't think about it. It just happens until you hear yourself speak in a video or on a recording. That's when you're like, oh my God, I speak like someone who doesn't know the English language, or somebody who doesn't have a vocabulary, because you're just kind of throwing fillers inside. And I realized that we have to be aware of the bad habits that we have, or the good habits, so you can cultivate the good habits and let go of the bad habits. And the hard part with cultivating the good habits, or letting go of the bad habits, is being aware of them and knowing what habits you have. Because a lot of times we notice, okay, I have a bad habit, when it presents itself in a very unpleasant way in your life, like an unpleasant consequence. That's when you're like, oh no, this is a bad habit. But apart from that, you don't know, and nobody calls you out on it most of the time. People don't really go, oh, well, you've got this bad habit, you need to stop. You see it when people avoid you, and then now you're starting to be introspective. You're trying to figure out, what am I doing wrong, or what's going on? That's when you realize, oh, I have this bad habit.
For instance, you're going out on a date and it's someone who's constantly saying, oh, you pay for yourself, I pay for myself, or I paid for you the other day, now it's your turn. then it's a teaching moment there to say, you know what, we shouldn't be counting who does what for someone. So back to your question, I think look for an opening and discuss it. If it's someone who genuinely wants to be with you, they'll listen to what you've said and they'll change their behavior so they can be with you. That's my take on it. Yeah.
I was just saying, like, if a person is counting, you did this, you did it, they're already like that.
Then I'm out. Because the next thing it'll be, oh, I took care of you when you had your surgery. So now you need to, I don't know, massage me every evening for however long. No, you don't count.
It's something that goes without saying. If you have to say it to somebody, then there's a problem. I don't need to tell my person to take care of me because I'm sick.
Yeah.
It should just be a natural thing. And I don't need to tell this person, you know, last week I spent $50 on us. So now, you know, I'm up $50 and you're down $50. So you kind of need to come up here $50. I think there's a problem right there.
At our age, are there men like that? Oh, yeah. I think,
I'm pretty sure they are. And they're probably, anyway, I don't want to say they're probably single, but anyway. So I think it's good to find that opening. I do agree. Find that opening and at least discuss so that your person knows. Um, you know, and you could even say it in a way where it's like, you know what, I am looking for, you know, I would like a serious relationship that does not include this, and this, because you know in the past I've seen that these situations don't work, and these are some of my non-negotiables type of thing, so that a person knows, because there are certain things that are boundaries that are normal, just regular boundaries that can flex. Those ones, if a person does something like that, then you can always say, hey, what you did there, if it happens again, we're gonna have issues.
Mhm.
And then there's something where it's like if it happens once, that's it. Like if a person puts hands on you,
Oh, yeah, there's
it
no
happens
talking
once,
around that one.
that's it. You need to move out. No matter how much you love this person, you will find someone else. You will find another person. And you don't want to end up being like the victim and then have the victim mentality where the victim is now protecting their antagonist type of thing.
Yeah. Or if you have kids and he's fresh around your, like, you know, your female, whatever kids, and, you know, you're dating someone and he's fresh around your kids. No, that one, no, because
And
he's
teach your
already
kids
shown you,
yeah,
he's
teach
already
your kids
shown
to
you that
speak
he
out.
has potential to be a pervert. So that one is a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, yeah, even it's like, you know, someone who,
especially single mothers who are going into the dating world with kids that are growing up, that are like female kids or even male kids. We've heard, you know, situations where abuse happens on both sides, right? So there are certain non-negotiables or certain things that you have to be clear on. And also make sure you train your kids as well. I know this is not, you know, in line with the non-negotiables, but since we're talking about it, make sure you train your kids to come out and be open and talk about things, because kids sometimes when they're scared, or if the predator comes and scares them, they're quiet and they suffer in silence. Make sure your kids know that you have their back, and make sure they know they can come talk to you no matter what, so that at least that way, if anything happens, before it even happens, your kid can come and say, I don't like the way this man is looking at me, or the way this man brushes my shoulder. Then you can look into it and address it right away.
and then I believe the first step is in that step of recovery or healing yourself is admitting to yourself that you're an alcoholic. So in this case, I guess if it's a habit, unless you're listening to external voices that you trust about something that you need to change, how are you going to know if you're not doing that self-reflection? So it goes back to what I was talking about, that you need to be honest with yourself. And when we come into this world, we're a blank slate and we adopt habits or we adopt values and belief system based on our guardians. I won't say parents because people are raised by different people. Some people are not raised with their parents, and also our culture. But at some point, you have to reassess and see and decide what you're going to keep and what you're going to do away with. So for me, something that has really helped me, it doesn't mean that I've conquered all my bad habits, but it's constant self-reflection. And also, I think when you're struggling with something or there's something that you need to get rid of, the universe is excellent at sending you messages. Sometimes it's through people, sometimes it's through media, sometimes it's through, let's say you're late, you struggle with time management, and you're constantly rushing to get to work, to appointments. A checkpoint for you might be an accident, right? Because you're constantly in a rush. So I think for me, it's self-reflection, being willing to listen to others, and just looking for cues within the universe in terms of, trying to change something. And I think one thing that I wanted to mention when we're talking about the process of changing a habit is, if you're struggling with sugar, if you're struggling to make your bed, if you're struggling with time management, if you struggle with your temper, you can't tackle all of them at once. You're going to fail. So you need to choose one habit and be kind and patient with yourself as you're working through that process. That's my take on it. I don't know what your take is on it. Just going back to that theme of how our self-concept or accepting how our body looks like is impacted within relationships, right? So with men, because I remember, dating one guy, and he, I was quite slender when we started dating, and it was like, yeah, she's a cool girl. And then I noticed that, he liked girls who were more full-figured. And guess what I started doing? I put myself on an eating regimen, right? So that I could gain that weight and be curvy like he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I achieved that. And, he was happy. And I remember him saying distinctly to me that, this is ideal. If you lose any weight, this is not going to work, right? And I was naive then. And I thought, you know what? I really like this guy, so I'm going to keep him happy. And I think as the relationship progressed, and then I saw what kind of, how do I say this? When I started, he was stepping down the pedestal I'd put him, I was eating one day and I say to myself, I keep on eating until I'm stuffed. Why am I doing this to myself? I don't even like eating this much, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I say to him, yeah, you know what? In my head, I looked at him and I said, I think this is the end of this relationship. And I slowly started withdrawing. And one thing that I wanted to talk about too, Rob, I think a guy who has, because this happens a lot to young girls, a guy who criticizes their body or, pecks away at their self-esteem. It's a way to control, a guy who says, oh, you know what, if you lost a little weight, or, maybe if your bra size was a bit bigger, or,
and you found her like that. So what's your problem? Did you not see that her bra size was a little bit smaller and that she was a little bit chubbier? And now all of a sudden you're telling her to go, I have her.
So a guy who's, or a guy who, criticizes the way there's a difference between a guy who's trying to bring you up, because when you're in a relationship, you're supposed to chisel each other and, improve. But a guy who slowly chips away at your self-esteem, saying things like, oh, you know what, maybe if you had, we already talked about it, I guess, things that girls, struggle with. Oh, you know what, if you had a bubble butt, or what have you, have you considered doing like a butt lift, and he's constantly doing that to you, it chips away at your self-esteem, and it's a way to control. And so from a female perspective, that's a non-negotiable. He found you the way you were not unless you're false advertising, ladies, that's different. But if he found you the way you were, the only way to go is acceptance and work with what he has. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you found me the way I am and you start nitpicking, my question is, why are you here? Right. And I get when a person wants to work with you to help you get to where you want to go, like your goals and stuff like that or whatever, but they don't need to nitpick. They can just be encouraging. There's a difference. a person encouraging you or a person nitpicking and actually going out of their way to put you into depression, to put you into second guessing yourself and all that craziness. She was only talking to me when she was trying to get me to stop losing weight, but she wasn't really like a friend. And remember, we were talking about it in previous episodes. I considered her to be a friend, so her opinion was important, right? Because I'm like, okay, this is my friend, these are my circles. So when she said that, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna. Am I breaking up? So I didn't stop losing weight, but at the same time, I stopped telling her what I was doing. I just kept quiet. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, I hear you. And then I just kept quiet.
Yeah.
And over the course of our friendship, she kind of threw shade at me here and there. But I realized that when I was smaller, people hated on me because I was smaller. And then when I was bigger, people hated on me because I was bigger. So I'm like, what do you want?
What do you
What do you want? Oh, you're too big. And then you get like people wanting you to take pictures when you're like in a setting. People want you to take pictures so that you're not in the picture. No, let Ropa take the picture. No, let her take the picture. And in my head, I'm like, okay, you guys are not my friends, whatever. I felt some type of way. But now that I look back at it, I put so much importance on these toxic people. You know what I mean? And I didn't go out of my way to accept myself for who I am and love me, pamper me, go out of my way to go to a spa. I went to a spa in Kenmore, got them to like really cater to me and everything and all that good stuff. And I was thinking about it when I was lying there and the lady was like giving me a massage and there was like this ambiance and this whatever. And I'm like, why did I take this long to do this? You know what I mean? To love me, to accept me, because I'm the only one who can fully accept me, right? And go start as you mean to go.
As you mean to go. Yeah, start as you mean to go.
Exactly. If you know in a few years time you're going to want that hugging, that cuddling, encourage it right now so that when it happens in the future, it's not going to be alien, it's not going to be something someone doesn't know what to do with, they're very uncomfortable, it becomes an awkward moment.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's a really good story, Ropa. And maybe I was like that at some point, but I remember when you shared that story with me, it was a light bulb. It was a light bulb moment. I remember I had a partner was much taller than me. And when we're walking in the park, for a guy to hold your hand or put his arm around you, it's a sign of, okay, you know what? I'm with this
my woman.
This is my woman. But then the whole time we're walking in the park, his arm would be on my shoulder. And he was like, what, 6'2". So it got tiring. But then I was wise enough to know that, okay, you know what, for him, this is how he shows that he's with me. So then I would find sometimes a way of saying, oh, look at that, so that his arm falls off. And then I found a way of holding his arm so that it's not on my, shoulder. So it's really important, ladies, for when men are showing emotion, let's handle it well. Not that we should handle them like babies, but we know that they're not as emotionally expressive as us. And so when they're whether it's through being emotionally intimate, they're trying you with certain topics, create that safe space so that you can grow and they continually feel comfortable sharing with you. Another thing, Ropa, I thought of as well is, I've had situations where, you know what, maybe this is a murky topic. People will cheat because they want to cheat. But sometimes cheating starts with being comfortable confiding in someone else, right? Because we tend to develop, how do I say this? I know you're going to, that's why I'm saying that it's a controversial topic, But what I'm saying though is if we're not creating an environment, it's the same thing with you. If you don't feel comfortable sharing certain things with me, you're going to find another friend who you share things more with. And before you know it, that person becomes your confidant because you feel safe, right? So what I'm trying to say is it's the same with men and women. And in this case, for us, this is a point of mental, or is it emotional or experiential, I guess, intimacy, where we're able to express things and disagree, if we don't see the same way. But what I'm saying is sometimes people gravitate towards someone they feel comfortable being safe around, right? And it's not an excuse, but what I'm saying is we drift from those we don't feel safe with and we move towards people that we feel more safe with, right?
I'm not disagreeing, though at the same time, I am also saying if a person wants to, a lot of times when people cheat, it's because they are like that. They are just like that. But you can't be everything to this one person. You can't be everything to them, but the main thing that you want to do is to be everything that matters to this person, right? There are times where this person needs time with the boys. You're not a boy. You can't give him time with the boys. You know what I mean? There are times where he needs to talk about business stuff. And if you're not business savvy, you're not going to be able to talk to him about this business stuff that he needs desperately to talk to somebody about. Right? But then there are things that he needs within that relationship that you can give him. If you can do that, then you're good to go. Though I also feel if a person does not tell you what they need from you or what they are lacking from you before they go outside and go out there, I'm sorry, it's not my fault. You decided to do this, right? If
Yeah,
you're
that's
feeling, yeah, if you're feeling shortchanged in conversation, let me know. How can I help you? Right? If you're feeling shortchanged in, emotional or whatever, let me know. What can I do? So that we can work on it together. If you really want to be in this relationship, you really want this to work. So when you go out there and you go create intimacies with other people and shut me out without having talked to me, without having tried to deal with it, go. Good riddance. And at the same time, you know what? Cheating is cheating, in my opinion. That's why I agree and sometimes don't agree, because yeah, a person has gone out there to go talk to somebody and they've created an emotional bond with this other woman, but you didn't tell me what you were missing in our relationship. So you
well,
wanted
I
to go.
agree. I mean, obviously, how do I say this?
On Netflix, there's this show called Love is Blind, and the season 2 is out. There's this guy. Oh my gosh, I did mention it in the beginning that I don't know these people. But I think his name is, or her name is Natalie, and the guy's name is something. Anyway, so they were talking, and I love listening to people's conversation because, when Love is Blind is on, I try to listen to the conversation. What exactly do I think they're clicking on? So they said something that I thought was really cool. So the two of them were talking, and she said, "I need you to prove to me that you're gonna prioritize me." And he's like, "Okay, is that what you need?" And she's like, "Yeah, that's what I need, and I need you to show me that you are gonna be this for me." And he's like, "Okay." And she's like, "Okay, what do you need?" And he's like, "I need you to trust that I'm going to be that man for you. I need you to trust that I will be able to do it and give me the space to be able to show you that I can be this for you as a person." I like that conversation that they had where they both asked each other, "What do you need from me?" This is
Yeah.
what you need. Okay, I'm going to go out of my way to try and make sure that I can help you out and give you what you need. What do I need? I need this. And so now you're going in there knowing what each and everyone needs and knowing what your assignment is to make this person feel comfortable around you. So I think that was profound.
That's very. When it comes to savings, what I have done is through the bank, I've decided on a certain percentage that comes off every paycheck, and then it goes into a savings account. Right. So you really need to be intentional. Otherwise, you won't even know, I guess, where you're bleeding money. So yeah, I like what you did there. Very detailed and very organized.
Yeah, you never know. And I find a lot of times I been doing that I did that in the past, where I would accumulate a certain amount of money, and because I didn't have a vision for, you know, where I wanted to go with it, I find out, you know, something happens and, oh, you know what, I have the money, I can just, you know, pay for this without being intentional. So now that I'm intentional, and I think it's important to have goals and tie those goals to your, you know, to your money goals as well. To go like, okay, well, eventually in the future, I want to buy a house. So how much do I want to pay as a down payment for that house? Do I want to pay the 10%, or do I want to pay 25% so I can skip the what is that?
CMHI.
Yeah, exactly. So I can skip that. So then what does that look like? Then now you wanna, okay, I wanna buy a house in 4 years. So in 4 years, if I save up with the type of house that I want, so 25% will be this amount of money every single year. And you intentionally save up for that. And then there's also like, you know, investments, because a lot of people say you shouldn't keep your big stash of money in your bank account. You should at least invest it. This is how you put on a condom. Make sure there's no air bubble at the top. So if you take a look, my demonstration versus my friend's demonstration, mine did not have an air bubble after you put on the condom. That's literally what you want, because if there's an air bubble, the condom could burst and oops, there could be a pregnancy, right? So let's just make sure that we know how to put on a condom properly, okay?